Okay, this is the reading for Aries for the summer into the fall. It's basically tips and tricks for partners. So, I don't want to say tricks, but tips and insights for partners. And I'm going to do it the same way that I've done all of my readings, which is split it to masculine and feminine. So we will look into the character of 3 cards for character, love, and then into the sex. So we'll see how that goes. So this is for the end of the summer and into the fall. Could stretch as far as the winter. Now, for the Aries female, we start off with the 6 of Wands, which is, in this deck is kind of a symbol of a shield. We have the moon and the sun in the flag there, but basically a shielding off. Now that could be in a good or in a bad way. I'll read the next one to figure out what that is, but basically shielding from something. Having to be shielded or being shielded against. The next card I get is the Hierophant. So that's spiritual knowledge, accessing that. So there may be a sense that these Aries females are guarding themselves to gain spiritual knowledge. They're shutting themselves off from the world, so to speak, but it's in order to gain the intuitive skills that they need to get interiorly where they need to go. So that's good. And then the outcome card is the Sun. So that's doubly good. That really takes all of the negative that could possibly be in the 6 of Wands and puts it into a point where, yeah, these Aries women are shutting down against the world because they need to. And not only that, they're guided to, and not only that, they're going to get answers. So that's good. So you may be, if you are in a relationship with an Aries, you may be in a place where you feel like you're being shut out. But don't take that literally, because they may be just trying to figure out if this is where they need to be. And in order to do that, they need to shut you out in order to click back in. So that may be the process that they're going through. The first card on the love side of things is true love. This love is once in a lifetime love. So we may have some of these Aries that are going through a situation where they know where they found their true love, or they know that they are in love, and they know that they're feeling love. So that is a good thing in itself. I mean, the Sun just amps that up. The next card I get is show simple acts of kindness. A simple act of kindness can energize you and bring happiness to those around you. So Aries women are usually busy and on the move. So I'm getting a sense here too that don't be too busy to stop and show, give those acts of kindness out, especially to your partner, to that who you love. And we're getting into, diving into sex here. So we're talking about an intimate partner. Show your simple acts, because they're being lost, I feel, on in that area. And the next card we get for love is rest and relaxation is essential. So feeling from the Aries female that they are just wanting to rest and relax. They're really just wanting, not to be overly taken over by anything. They just want to be able to do what they want to do, which may be nothing for the summer. And I do feel in the fall this will kind of switch gears. But rest and relaxation, I think, maybe keying into the summer and going, yeah, let's just, be free and have some fun time, but not necessarily kicking in on a deeper level within the partnership. So be aware of that, Aries females, because you may have the love of your life sitting there, but there may be some stagnant energy that maybe just needs to be communicated. Like, I just don't feel like diving in deeper, so let's just take the summer off and we'll kick back in the fall. May be enough to just prevent some storms from coming in. On the physical side of things, we have the 9 of Swords. And the 9 of Swords is kind of a neutral card. It's a very sensual card, these two diving in, but the Black Cat gives an air of mystery that is weaving in and out of the legs there. You're just not quite sure what could happen, but the sword's hanging on the wall, so it's a sign of almost like a conqueredness, like something's been conquered or being conquered. Like there may even be some sexual reward that has come in the past. And I feel like as of the reading, I think it's in the past, could be in the last week, could be in the last 2 weeks or 3 weeks, where there has been some kind of a sexual conquest that has happened for these Aries, where they've attained something sexually that has gratified them, that they had to work for, or somehow had to, there was something that they had to do to get rewarded. But they did get rewarded, and they felt the bliss nonetheless. So that's interesting. So the Nine of Swords, basically a symbol of sensuality in that way. The next card I get for the sex side is the Eight of Wands. Now, the Eight of Wands is really that indulging. I mean, we have this sexual, I mean, it's just really amping up, not only in the mind, our sexual things going on, but also in the emotion. You know, you carry out the emotion of the Eight of Wands is really indulging in the love and in all the areas. You know, it seems like it's dipping in. So that's good. And I'm noticing the the wand in the back there on the ladder. It's almost like, don't get your hopes too high. You know, you may have tapped into something here, but don't get your hopes too high, because we might get into trouble and start a fire. It might get out of hand. So we're in a good groovy place here with the energies. We just need to, you know, rein in on that. The next card I get is the Five of Cups, which is interesting because we have two indulging, you know, indulgence of the mind, is if I were to take the symbols correctly, and an indulging of the emotions, and then here in the fountain that makes you think of a flame of the past, right? And then almost like to the future. So if we're looking, I think for the paired up Aries, I think we're getting into some good deep sensual emotional love making here. I think we're there was a point where, like I said, the Aries had to work for it. They had to do something to achieve it, but like it totally was worth it. They're going, oh, I should have done that sooner. So there's a cashing in that happened in the last just little bit here with the physicalness, the partners, long-term partners. I'm feeling more than short-term, and I feel like this really applies to more the short-term partners, because I think the long-term partners, they're so in the sensuality and physicality of the relationship that they really can't, their mind is not off somewhere else. But this is a symbol of being off somewhere else. Now, if we're talking about the singles, we may be talking about a single who's got someone interested in them, an Aries, but they're thinking about someone in the past. So for the single Aries, they're really they're letting someone in that's playing upon them and working really hard to please them, but yet their mind's not in it. So that's kind of sad, but I mean, it happens, and we don't know here whether or not for those singles they get, you know what, I can pull another card. Yeah, we end up with the Seven of Cups. So there's an advancement there in the love-making part, but nonetheless, you know, the Seven of Cups puzzles me. The turtle is a symbol of longevity, you know, of long life. So there may be a situation where we have, which is interesting enough, we have a suitor here that has a long-term ability within your relationship sector, but you're thinking about past love, and you may or may not get, but it shows that there's an advancement here. We're going from the 5 to the 7 of Cups, so there's going to be an intimate way opening up here, but it's just in the beginning stages. So for the singles, I feel like you just have to kind of, if you're getting over something or filling your head too much, let that go, because there's really more that's coming at you that needs to come in. We need to be completely fresh. Take that memory, I don't want to say take that memory out, but deal with it and move on, and, you know, get in the game as quick as you can, because this is something that is more coming at you, that is more of a long-term way. So in a way, that's good. And the ones that are in long-term relationships are really getting solid. They're really getting deep. They're really getting emotionally, and yeah, action oriented. I mean, the bedroom's doing good, and so it's just really a good match here all the way. So for Aries, the tip would be for the singles would really be to keep your head up. Keep positive. If you're trying to conquer her, give her some time. She may be thinking about a past love, but don't worry, because that past love is gone for a reason. There's a fire there, and it's like that face is going to get dissolved in that, you know, it's going to get drowned in all that water, and eventually she will come around and, you know, be in the moment where she's not thinking about past loves, but she just, for now, her mind is wandering because she just doesn't know any different, basically. So a tip for, you know, for the Aries female getters, the ones going after Aries female, just give them some time. Don't give up, and don't stop your affections. Just keep going and take the hits when you need to, and just give the space if she asks for it. But don't give up so easily, because she will kick in eventually. She's just reminiscing in her mind, and that's something that can easily be taken over as long as the fire's still there on this new side. So just keep up the work, and eventually you'll get through to her. She just needs a little bit more of a push to get in that direction, to be in the U zone. So you just need a little more fire to get in there, and I think you'll do all right. So as long as you keep the fiery activity going, I think you'll get under her. In a good way. So for the males, I'm sorry, where do I start? Okay, the males, Aries. We start with the King of Swords. And the King of Swords, look at this card. And every deck kind of gives me a different feel for either of the signs here. So I want to take note of that. But the King of Swords here is kind of cantankerous. He's not really in a great mood. He's not the happiest. But he is really ready to fight and to charge full ahead. I mean, he's got the eagle there, or whatever it is, the bird. Yeah, the hawk. He's got the hawk on his hand and the sword in his other hand, and then he's got these 3 birds above his head, and it's just like, you just got the idea that this man is just ready to just, I mean, explode with something, whether it's action or communication. And of course the swords is communication, so we have to be aware of that there's a man here that is brimming with things to say and directions to put it. And then on the other side, it's interesting, we have a match here, the Queen of Wands. So that is the fiery energy. We have an air and fire. And the Queen of Wands is really, I mean, she's in this deck here. She's wearing red, which is, I mean, that's action-oriented, of course, the fire. But she's ready to act, but she has a softness about her that she can kind of gain the upper hand, like the smoothest silk type thing, you know. And then we have the plant, which is kind of a symbol to me that she's somewhat grounded in all of her resources, you know. And she has the wands behind her as if she's leading herself, being centered. And the fire, if she needs, she can gain it and grab it and pull it forth. And she does not look like Queen of Wands is kind of... she can really handle things in all areas with grace and nobility. So we have kind of a take charge guy and a woman who's very centered within her own right. So we have that as the base, and then the outcome card is the strength card. So basically a woman taming a lion. And I get to a certain degree that the partner for these Aries males is very much that way. She's very doesn't seem like she's very bold on the outside, but she could tame the lion if she needs to. So she really has all her resources. Almost like she's tough but tender, and she gets more that way, but yet he's very, very cantankerous and very much not in his element, I feel, you know, because he's an Aries, is a fire, and then we got a swords here, so it's just, there may be these Aries males over the last part of summer, beginning of the fall, they may be in a situation where they're just not feeling like they're themselves. They're not feeling like they're in their right element. I can't explain it any other way. And it's interesting because the partner, he's facing straight forward, and both the partners, both possible partners, so we have strength, is looking the opposite direction, and the Queen of Wands looking in the opposite direction. So he may be upset that he ain't got a partner and they're all running away. But it may, I feel like it's a phase for these Aries men. They just have to kind of get through. They're really in a cantankerous state, and they really have to stomp their feet and blow their blow their steam off in a direction other than their partner. So they may have a partner that is just not putting up with that, or they may be single and they're not attracting anybody with that kind of behavior. So got to watch for that, you guys. You Aries males, watch for the mood, the kind of pissy boy kind of mood, where just nothing's gone right, and so they're stomping their feet and yelling at everybody and being in that kind of a mode. So it's just not winning you any fans, let's put it that way. So that is the mode that the Aries male is in. Now, the love cards. Actions speak loudly. Express your love through your actions. I feel like these men, or this Aries male here that is by the King of Swords, he is not ready. Though he is mature and he has the capabilities there, he is not ready to move as such. He's got to watch his actions in order. I feel like over the summer he's just not going to be in a mode where he's really watching his P's and Q's. Not only not doing that, but not caring who he pisses off either. Spend quality time together. I feel like if you're in a partnership, this may not be a good idea, depending on. It's important that we spend quality time with those we are in significant relationships with, listening and talking to each other. I feel like this man's got a lot to say, but I'm not sure he's ready to talk yet. I feel like he's got to stomp and and get through all that, and then it's obvious that the partner that he's with, if you're in a solid relationship, I think she's kind of heard it before. It's all been said and done, so she's just letting him rant and rave and do his thing. So he's going to do that. And so the spend quality time, be careful. Make sure you know when the right time to do that is. And that's after the stomping and the screaming. I think like they got to have a little fit, and then they'll come back and they'll be okay. They just got to let off that steam. The next card I get is romance. Lavish. The one that you love with your personal attention and affection. So I feel like this is where they're headed. I think towards the fall and into winter, I think they'll come back swinging, and they'll be in the mode to wine and dine, and hopefully in the direction. Now for the singles, I feel like you're really turning a lot of suitors off, but you're in a point where I don't care, I'm pissed off, I don't need this shit, blah blah blah. I don't know what started this. I don't feel it's relationship oriented. I feel like a relationship is just a side effect, and it's basically you going outward to kind of display in the relationship where it just doesn't have no space. So I feel like it might even be work or some kind of offshoot of that, where you're feeling dejected in some way, and you just take it outward in ways that you feel like you can get away with. Because I feel like this partner that the ones partnered have is kind of like, yeah, I've seen this before, just let him do his thing and then he'll be okay, but for the ones that are single, it's going to be a little rougher, going to be a little longer, going to take a longer time to heal from that. So be careful, because your actions will speak louder than your words, and those words, I feel like you're not ready yet to quite talk about any of that. So this is for the sex side of the reading for Aries. Now, the three cards that we get here, the first one is the Seven of Swords. So we seem to have a situation where
there are people, I wouldn't say at odds, but definitely not getting along in the bedroom. So there's no physical action going on whatsoever. And it's interesting because the next card is the Three of Cups, which is all in the action. So I think what we have here is a mix of the singles and the couples. Within a single relationship, we have a situation where they may have attracted a suitor, but there may be some ego tripping or lessons going on where people are kind of ticked off and they're just not giving it up in the bedroom. So we could have that scenario on the single end. Within the couples, where we have some ups and downs, and not in a good way, where we're connecting in the bedroom and then all of a sudden we're not, and then we're making up and going about it again. So that seems to be the scenario here. And it also can jump over to the single side as well, that you may have a partner that is kind of immature ways coming out in the bedroom. So it's like, well, if I can't get my way, he ain't getting this, or, you know, or if I can't get my way, she ain't getting that kind of thing. So that's really what I'm getting here, is that there's that, you know, the huffing and puffing that I was talking about, not getting their way. And even though that I don't think that is specifically related to the relationship, I feel it coming out in that way. And I feel like that's the way that it's running. It's like, oh, well, if you're going to be pissy like that, then guess what? You're not going to get any loving from me because I'm shut down. So that's one scenario. And then it moves on to the Three of Cups, which is interesting. So there's obviously a makeup time here that's come through. So he may realize that he has to do some making up, because we have the Knight of Cups that ends up. And that's kind of like the beginning romancing stage where, you know, it's like everybody's being treated well, and, you know, those lines aren't being crossed. So I feel like there's a situation where we may have had a blowout, and then it transferred to something in the bedroom where it's just very immature ways of dealing, but nonetheless kind of a lesson, quote unquote, type thing, where it's like, well, if you're going to treat me like that, I'm not going to connect with you in that way. It's just not going to work. So I feel like that's coming across as what's going on here, because it's kind of an up and down and all over the place. But for the most part, I feel like, you know, and I mean, this is a fire sign. Aries is fiery, and when they get going, they get going. So they just have to decide on their direction and make sure that they don't take it out on their partner in a way that they don't deserve. I think that's really what's going on here. So if I were to give a tip, you know, mostly I would have to give a tip to the Aries male to make him understand that, you know, you're really going to turn some things away. Not that you don't have the power and the knowledge to get it back, but sometimes these can create rifts that are non-negotiable. We can't get back. So just be aware that that's there. I don't feel that that's really imminent, but I feel like for the future it may be, if you keep taking for granted the fact that you'll be forgiven for all of this blowing up. You have to kind of be a little more mature about it. So that obviously transfers right into the bedroom. So basically, the Seven of Swords, for the singles, you may not be getting any, and you may not be in a mode where you really want to work too hard to get any to begin with. And then the Three of Cups comes in, is the couples, I feel this applies to, is them getting really grounded in the whole, you know, love-making thing. It's just kind of in the grind, and they're enjoying it, and it's good. And then the Knight of Cups is, for the singles, I feel it's that coming around time, you know, near the end of the fall and into the winter, where, and it may not even be that long, you know, it may be even just a kind of a week blowout, and then they kind of realize, and then everything goes good. But the end card, the Knight of Chalices, for the singles would signify, you know, coming around and getting out of that bad mode, and starting to realize that they've got that softer side, and then really playing out in the bedroom. So either way, whether you're single or coupled, I see you really kind of blowing up and getting everything back together again. I mean, I think that the partners that you're with, especially on the physical side, are very complementary, so they understand to a degree that maybe most others wouldn't. So not a huge thing, just showing a big up and down here, more of a blowout, I feel, that kind of calms down real quickly. So that is the sex side of things. So to shut her down, I lost the last part of my video here, so I'm just going to edit in the audio only. So hopefully that cleared up some things for everybody. And in the meantime, take it easy. I didn't have too much tips for the Aries. If we're looking at the video as a whole, then you just have to absorb that information and be careful how you take it. And the ones that are on the other side, just literally take in the information and you can go from there. Just really wanting to gain that better understanding. As for a tip to get in with the Aries male, I really would say this, that you really have to be tolerant of a lot of mishaps and a lot of blowouts and a lot of fiery tempers and a lot of flares, because that is how they work and how they roll. In an offhanded kind of way, I think they really do appreciate their partner for being able to put up with that, and they make up for it in other ways. I mean, it never to the point of abuse here we're talking, but in a way that it's kind of like, yeah, they're gonna go in the garage and they're gonna throw things, and nobody gets hurt. That kind of way. These Aries males can be like that. Not all of them are. I mean, we have closer to the ends of the signs and the beginnings are a little different, but we have the tempers flaring and everything going everywhere, and that's really how they work. So if you cannot handle that type of thing, I would suggest that you go in a different direction. And if you think you've got the strength, which, I mean, that card was in there, and I think any woman that does come after an Aries male has to have a certain kind of inner core strength to deal with these men, because they can be quite cantankerous at moments, and it takes a special kind of personality to deal with that. So if you're prepared, then obviously just charge in there and just be there and be that steady, and they will eventually come through. They just have to have their blowout, and then they'll be fine and they'll come back and mend everything. Like I said, to a degree that I think they know that there's stuff going on here, but they just need to release that fire, and then they'll be fine. And then they can go back to that slow burn until the next thing that throws them off. So that is the reading for Aries for the spring and fall here. For the tips and the tricks, there's not too many tips, like I said, but there's a lot of insight nonetheless. So hopefully that carries through and makes sense to a lot of you who are with them or looking to them, or them themselves. The Aries, hopefully that helps you guide through your relationship in a little smoother way. Hopefully it gets to you before that blowout, and you can kind of deal with that in a more smooth manner. So in the meantime, take care, have fun, and be kind.